When you think of a classic seaside town like Sidmouth, what comes to mind? Probably promenades, maybe some parks, lots of buildings, a landscape that feels like it was shaped completely by people. But what if I told you that hiding inside all of that is a surprisingly wild and rich ecosystem? It really makes you start to wonder.
It's a fair question, right? Most of us just assume that our towns, with all the concrete and traffic, are pretty much dead zones for wildlife. We think of nature as something you have to drive to, something way out there. Well, we're about to see how that whole idea gets completely flipped on its head.
Okay, so to really get what's going on here, we need to know this one key term, brownfield site. It sounds technical, but it's actually super simple. It's just any piece of land that's been changed by people. So that could be a landscaped cliff path, a concrete walled riverbank, you name it. These are the exact spots we'd normally just walk past and not give a second thought.
And this is where things get really interesting. Because you'd think these altered landscapes would be, ecologically empty, but a recent biodiversity survey in Sidmouth dug up something pretty amazing. The results really challenge everything we think we know about where nature can actually make a home.
So, to see just how remarkable this is, we've got to look at the numbers, the hard data from a huge survey of the whole Sid Valley. And it all boils down to one single, really intriguing number. 351. What in the world is that? A bus route? A house number? Nope. This number is actually the key to this whole story.
That number, 351, is the total number of different species they found across just 8 little urban sites right in the middle of town. Now get this, the full survey covered 50 sites across the entire valley. That means these 8 small so-called brownfield spots are home to almost 45% of all the biodiversity found in that much, much larger area. Wow.
And it gets even more dramatic when you start to break it down. Look at the birds. Almost 70%, 70, of all the bird species recorded in the entire valley were found right here in the town center. Now, part of that is coastal birds like cormorants, sure, but it also shows just how vital these managed parks and gardens are as a place for them to live.
All right, let's go on a bit of a tour of these hidden habitats. And let's start with the toughest places you can imagine, the shingle beach and the man-made riverbank. To survive here, you've got to deal with salt, storms, and just total instability. It's a hostile world.
If you're going to make it here, you have to be a specialist. And that's where halophytes come in. These plants are basically the ultimate survivors. They've evolved to handle all that salt. They do it by growing these incredibly deep roots to stay anchored and developing tough kind of leathery or waxy leaves to hold on to every last drop of water. They're amazing.
But trying to protect these tough little plants isn't always easy. A special beach garden was set up to help them. But as this quote shows, there's a real conflict. Some people just see a messy weed patch. Conservationists, on the other hand, see a vital and very special habitat. It's a classic clash between human perception and ecological value.
And the life here is so cool and unique. You've got sea kale, which people used to eat as a delicacy. You've got sea beet, that's the wild ancestry of things like beetroot and chard. Then there's the yellowhorn poppy. It's beautiful, but don't touch it, it's super poisonous. And it's not just plants. In the winter, you'll see flocks of these little birds called turnstones literally running around on the pavement looking for food.
Okay, so let's move inland from that harsh coastline right into the heart of town. Here, we find a totally different kind of sanctuary, hiding right there in plain sight. Public parks, churchyards, and even private gardens.
Now take a look at this. The site they called Parks and Gardens, which includes the local churchyard, has an incredible 23 species of fungi and lichen. That just blows the other sites out of the water. So what's going on? Why on earth would an old churchyard be such a hotspot for lichen?
The answer is the tombstones. It's incredible. The old headstones were made with lime mortar, which turns out to be the absolute perfect surface for all kinds of lichens to grow on. Modern cement is just too harsh. It's a perfect example of how something man-made can accidentally create a brand new home for nature. Who knew a graveyard could be so full of life?
And then there's the ultimate hidden gem, Powys House. This is a big private property, which means it's totally undisturbed. Its 5 acres are like a secret wildlife reservoir for the town. It's home to bigger animals like the red fox and badger, and even the slow worm, which you just don't see anywhere else in the town center. It's this protected core that helps support everything else. So, we've looked at all these little individual spots. The beach, the churchyard, the private garden. But to really grasp why they matter so much, we have to zoom out and see how they all work together as one big, connected system. On their own, none of these 8 sites are, world-famous nature reserves. A shingle beach, a grassy slope, a churchyard, they can seem pretty small, maybe even insignificant. But when you put them all together, a new picture emerges. You see this vital, living network. Each little patch has its own unique species, and together they create these corridors and safe havens that support a huge range of life.
It's that classic idea. The whole is truly greater than the sum of its parts. These scattered, human-altered brownfield sites aren't just random patches of weeds and birds. They are a real, functioning ecosystem that is absolutely crucial to the health and biodiversity of the entire Sid Valley.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a busy seaside town can hide such a vibrant world in its walls and parks and beaches, what kind of hidden ecosystems are thriving just outside your own front door? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.